Which Florentine painter who died in 1337 had the oft-overlooked surname, di Bondon? Giotto. Giotto di Bondon, commonly known as Giotto, was an influential Italian painter and architect from Florence during the late Middle Ages. He is celebrated for his revolutionary artistic style, which moved away from Byzantine traditions towards greater naturalism and realism, thus paving the way for the Italian Renaissance. What familiar name is most commonly given to the fruiting body of a fungus? Mushroom or toadstool. The fruiting body of a fungus is popularly known as a mushroom or a toadstool. This specialized structure is responsible for producing and dispersing spores, which are vital for the fungal organism's reproduction and survival. Which is the largest order of mammals? Over 40% of all mammalian species belong to it. Rodentia. Rodentia is the most diverse and largest order of mammals, accounting for over 40% of all known mammalian species. This group includes animals such as mice, rats, squirrels, and beavers, all characterized by their continuously growing incisors that require constant gnawing to prevent overgrowth. What is the more common name for the European or great maple? Sycamore. The sycamore, Acer pseudoplatanus, is a species of maple tree native to Central Europe and Western Asia. It is also widely known as the European maple, or great maple, due to its prevalence and size in the region. Which former Italian Prime Minister was kidnapped and murdered in 1978? Aldo Moro. Aldo Moro, a prominent Italian statesman and a former Prime Minister, was kidnapped and subsequently murdered by the Red Brigade's terrorist group in 1978. His assassination was a pivotal and tragic event in modern Italian history, reflecting a period of significant political tension. Which American was awarded a share of the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973? Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger, then the U.S. Secretary of State, was awarded a share of the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973. He received the award along with Le Duc d'O of North Vietnam for their role in negotiating the Paris Peace Accord, which aimed to end the Vietnam War. Which landlocked African country has a population of nearly 88 million? Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a large, landlocked country located in the Horn of Africa. It has historically maintained one of the largest populations on the continent, being the second most populous nation in Africa. He famously ignored his orders. Who was Nelson's superior at Copenhagen? Sir Hyde Parker. Sir Hyde Parker was the commander-in-chief of the British fleet at the Battle of Copenhagen in 1801, with Horatio Nelson as his second-in-command. Nelson famously ignored Parker's signal to retreat, leading his squadron to a decisive victory against the Dano-Norwegian fleet. Why did William Pitt the Younger resign as Prime Minister? Due to his inability to deliver on the promise of Catholic emancipation for Ireland. William Pitt the Younger resigned as Prime Minister in 1801 because of King George III's opposition to Catholic emancipation. Pitt had promised this reform to the Irish Catholics as part of the Act of Union 1800, which created the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. What is the U.S. Army's Special Operations Force, often compared to the SAS, that features a Greek letter in its unofficial name? Delta Force. The 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, SFODD, commonly known as Delta Force, is a highly secretive special operations force of the U.S. Army. It is primarily tasked with counterterrorism, hostage rescue, and direct action missions. What is the U.S. Navy's Special Operations Force, often compared to the SAS, that features the name of a marine mammal? Navy SEALs. The United States Navy Sea, Air, and Land Teams, SEALs, are the U.S. Navy's primary special operations force. They are capable of operating in maritime, air, and land environments, conducting a wide range of missions including direct action, special reconnaissance, and counterterrorism. Which musical instrument's name is derived from the German words meaning bell play? Glockenspiel. The glockenspiel is a percussion instrument consisting of a set of tuned metal bars arranged like a piano keyboard. Its name comes from the German words Glock, bell, and Spiel, play, reflecting its bell-like tonal quality. Who was the first person to classify the A, B, O blood groups in a medical breakthrough in 1901? Karl Landsteiner. Karl Landsteiner, an Austrian physician and immunologist, was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1930 for his 1901 discovery of the ABO blood groups. This classification revolutionized blood transfusions, making them safer and more effective. In the biblical narrative, whom did God order to preach in Nineveh, but who initially fled with significant consequences? Jonah. The prophet Jonah is known for his story in the book of Jonah, where he initially disobeys God's command to preach repentance to the city of Nineveh. His attempt to flee leads to him being swallowed by a large fish before he eventually fulfills his mission. What is the alternative name for the ocular lens in optical instruments such as telescopes and microscopes? Eyepiece. The ocular lens, more commonly known as the eyepiece, is the lens assembly through which an observer looks when using optical instruments like telescopes and microscopes. Its primary function is to magnify the intermediate image produced by the objective lens. What name is given to molten rock located beneath the surface of the Earth? Magma. Magma is molten rock found beneath the Earth's surface, typically in the Earth's mantle or crust. When magma erupts onto the surface, it is then referred to as lava. This process is fundamental to plate tectonics and the formation of igneous rocks. Carson City is the capital of which U.S. state? Nevada. Carson City serves as the capital of the U.S. state of Nevada, known for its significant historical role during the Comstock Lode Silver Rush. The city is centrally located near Lake Tahoe, playing an administrative role in the state's governance. The Assyrian Empire was mostly located in which modern-day Middle Eastern country? Iraq. The ancient Assyrian Empire, a major Mesopotamian civilization, was predominantly centered in the territory of modern-day Iraq. Its capital cities included Ashur and Nineveh, and it was renowned for its military prowess and extensive territorial control in the Near East. Who was the driving force behind the creation of the Windows PC operating system? Bill Gates. Bill Gates, as a co-founder of Microsoft, was the primary driving force behind the development and commercial success of the Windows operating system. His vision transformed personal computing and made graphical user interfaces widely accessible, profoundly impacting the technology industry. Which high-tech company has its main assembly plant in Everett, Washington? Boeing. Boeing, a global aerospace giant, operates its largest assembly plant in Everett, Washington, where it produces wide-body aircraft like the 747, 767, 777, and 787. This facility is one of the world's largest buildings by volume and is crucial to global aviation manufacturing. What is the scientific species name, i.e. in Latin, for the wren? Troglodytes. Troglodytes. The scientific species name for the common wren is Troglodytes. Troglodytes. This binomial nomenclature is part of the Linnean classification system, which provides a universal standard for naming species in biology. The genus Troglodytes refers to its characteristic cave-dwelling or hole nesting habits. Who is honored with a museum in her home city of Wakefield, West Yorkshire? Barbara Hepworth. Barbara Hepworth was a prominent 20th-century British sculptor known for her abstract works. The Hepworth Wakefield Museum celebrates her life and art, housing a significant collection of her sculptures and works by her contemporaries. Which famous sculptor was born in Castleford, West Yorkshire? Henry Moore. Henry Moore was an influential English sculptor renowned for his semi-abstract monumental bronze sculptures. His works often feature reclining figures and are displayed globally, making him one of the most important figures in 20th century art. In ancient times, which establishment was primarily used for physical exercise, bathing, and intellectual discourse? Gymnasium. In ancient Greece, the gymnasium was a public facility vital for physical training, sports, and intellectual instruction. It served as a place where young men engaged in athletics, philosophical discussions, and prepared for military service. Which of the Pan-Hellenic Games was held on territory owned by the city-state of Elis? Olympic Games. The ancient Olympic Games were held every 4 years in Olympia, situated within the territory of Elis in Greece. These games were the most prestigious of the Pan-Hellenic Games, serving as a major religious and athletic festival dedicated to Zeus. Which sporting activities primarily took place in a palaestra in ancient Greece? Boxing or wrestling. A palaestra was an ancient Greek wrestling school or training ground specifically designed for combat sports. It was primarily used for training in boxing, wrestling, and pancration, playing a crucial role in athletic and military education. Historically, the first day of which major calendar system is conventionally considered to have begun on July 16, 622 CE in the Julian calendar? Islamic. The Islamic calendar, also known as the Hijri calendar, commences from the year of the Hijra, marking the migration of the Prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Medina. This foundational event for Islam is historically dated to July 16, 622 CE, Julian calendar, signifying the official start of the Islamic era. In which English county is the port town of Fleetwood located? Lancashire. Fleetwood is a coastal town in the county of Lancashire, England, situated at the mouth of the River Wyre. Historically, it developed as a significant port and fishing town, known for its distinctive grid pattern street layout designed by Decimus Burton. By what name was the city of York known during its Viking occupation? Jorvik. During the Viking Age, from the 9th to the 11th centuries, the city of York was a major Viking settlement in England. It was known as Jorvik and served as the capital of a Viking kingdom, significantly influencing the region's history and culture. The Kamchatka Peninsula is located within the territory of which nation? Russia. The Kamchatka Peninsula is a large peninsula in the Russian Far East, known for its spectacular volcanic landscapes and abundant wildlife. It forms part of the Russian Federation and is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its unique natural beauty. By what alternative name is the Mariinsky Theatre of St. Petersburg also known, particularly for its ballet company? Kirov Ballet. The Mariinsky Theatre in St. Petersburg, Russia, is one of the world's most renowned opera and ballet theatres. Its ballet company, officially the Mariinsky Ballet, was widely known as the Kirov Ballet during the Soviet era, a name still frequently used globally. Who was the messenger of the Greek gods, and the son of Zeus and Maia? Hermes. In Greek mythology, Hermes is one of the 12 Olympian gods, famously known as the messenger of the gods. He is also revered as the god of trade, thieves, travelers, and sports, often depicted with winged sandals and a caduceus. In Greek mythology, who was the hero credited with killing the Gorgon Medusa? Perseus. Perseus is a legendary hero in Greek mythology, celebrated for his quest to slay Medusa, one of the three Gorgons with a gaze that turned men to stone. He accomplished this feat with the aid of divine gifts, including a reflective shield from Athena and winged sandals from Hermes. Triskaidekaphobia is the irrational fear of what? The number 13. Triskaidekaphobia is a specific type of phobia characterized by an intense and irrational fear of the number 13. This fear is deeply rooted in various cultural superstitions, particularly in Western societies, where the number is often associated with bad luck. What would a galactophagist primarily consume? Milk. A galactophagist is an individual or organism whose diet predominantly consists of milk. The term is derived from Greek roots, galacto, meaning milk, and phagist, meaning eater or consumer. Which popular series of children's history books, later adapted for television, was authored by Terry Deary? Horrible Histories. Horrible Histories is a highly successful and critically acclaimed series of children's history books by Terry Deary, known for its humorous and often gruesome portrayal of historical events. Its popular television adaptations have made history accessible and engaging for a wide audience, contributing significantly to historical literacy among younger generations. Who is the third of Dostoevsky's brothers Karamazov, alongside Ivan and Alexei? Dmitri. The Brothers Karamazov is Fyodor Dostoevsky's final novel, published in 1880, and is considered a masterpiece of world literature. It explores profound philosophical and theological themes through the intricate lives and moral dilemmas of the three Karamazov brothers, Dmitri, Ivan, and Alexei. Kielder Forest is located in which county? Northumberland. Kielder Forest is a large working forest managed by Forestry England, situated in Northumberland, England. It surrounds Kielder Water, one of Europe's largest artificial lakes, and is a significant area for conservation, outdoor recreation, and dark sky tourism. Which Labour minister, serving under Prime Minister Gordon Brown, had previously been a member of the Liberal Party? Peter Hare. Peter Hare, a prominent Labour politician, had a background in the Liberal Party before joining Labour. He served in various high-profile ministerial roles under both Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, including Secretary of State for Northern Ireland and Secretary of State for Wales. The Hare Krishna movement originated from which major religion? Hinduism. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, commonly known as the Hare Krishna movement, is a Gaudiya Vaishnava Hindu religious organization. It was founded in 1966 in New York City by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and is based on the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavata Purana. Which capital city, built by King Rama I, is home to the Temple of the Emerald Buddha? Bangkok. The Temple of the Emerald Buddha, known in Thai as Wat Phra, is a highly revered Buddhist temple located within the Grand Palace complex in Bangkok, Thailand. It was constructed by King Rama I, the first monarch of the current Chakri dynasty, making it a cornerstone of Thai history and cultural identity. What is the clarified butter commonly used in Indian cuisine? Ghee. Ghee is a type of clarified butter originating from the Indian subcontinent, widely used in South Asian cuisine, traditional medicine, and religious rituals. It is produced by simmering butter to remove water and milk solids, resulting in a distinctively flavored and aromatic fat. Which famous writer lived at Gad's Hill in Kent? Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens, one of England's most celebrated novelists, resided at Gad's Hill Place in Higham, Kent, from 1856 until his death in 1870. This country house served as his home and an important setting during the later period of his distinguished literary career. Who was commanded by God through a donkey? Balaam. Balaam was a prophet in the Old Testament, specifically in the book of Numbers, who was famously commanded by God through his talking donkey. The donkey's intervention prevented Balaam from cursing the Israelites, demonstrating divine communication and intervention. In trigonometry, what is calculated by the ratio of the adjacent side to the hypotenuse? Cosine. In trigonometry, the cosine of an acute angle in a right-angled triangle is defined as the ratio of the length of the side adjacent to the angle to the length of the hypotenuse. It is a fundamental trigonometric function used extensively in mathematics, physics, and engineering. Which mountain range in Ireland is the source of the river Liffey? Wicklow Mountains. The Wicklow Mountains are a major mountain range in eastern Ireland, primarily located in County Wicklow. They are notable as the source of several rivers, including the River Liffey, which flows through Dublin. This region is also known for its scenic beauty and Glendalough monastic site. Which letter denotes the civil aircraft marking for a plane registered in the UK? G. Under the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, regulations, each country is assigned a unique prefix for its civil aircraft registration marks. The letter G is used as the registration prefix for aircraft registered in the United Kingdom, appearing before the unique identifier for each plane, e.g., GABCD. Which European city is nicknamed the Athens of the North? Edinburgh. Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, is often referred to as the Athens of the North, due to its rich intellectual heritage, particularly during the Scottish Enlightenment, and its neoclassical architecture. The city's prominent philosophical and literary contributions during the 18th century drew parallels with the cultural prominence of ancient Athens. Which beverage contains quinine? Tonic water. Tonic water is a carbonated soft drink that contains quinine, which gives it a distinctive bitter taste. Historically, quinine was used as an anti-malarial drug, and its presence in tonic water originated from its medicinal use in tropical regions during the British Empire. In a book, recto is the right-hand page. What is the left? Verso. In the context of book publishing and printing, recto refers to the right-hand page of an open book or document, typically bearing odd page numbers. Conversely, verso denotes the left-hand page, which usually carries even page numbers. This standard convention helps organize content and maintain consistent formatting. On which instrument is a skull played? Bagpipes. A skull is a distinctive, high-pitched, and often sudden burst of sound produced on the bagpipes. It is a characteristic element of bagpipe music, particularly in Scottish traditions, where pipers use it for emphasis, ornamentation, or as a vocal-like cry within a melody. Whose portrait was featured on the new £2 coin commemorating the start of World War I? Lord Kitchener. Lord Kitchener, a prominent British Field Marshal, was featured on a new £2 coin issued to mark the centenary of the start of World War I in 2014. His iconic "Your Country Needs You" poster remains one of the most recognizable recruitment images from the conflict. In Sandro Botticelli's renowned painting, The Birth of Venus, on what does Venus stand? A sea-shell, scallop shell. In Botticelli's iconic Renaissance painting, The Birth of Venus, the goddess is depicted emerging from the sea, standing atop a large scallop shell. This detail symbolizes her divine birth and purity as she arrives on shore, a central theme in mythological art. Which art movement from the 1960s was primarily characterized by optical illusions? Op art. Op art, short for optical art, is a style of visual art that emerged in the 1960s, utilizing abstract patterns and geometric shapes to create illusions of movement, vibration, or hidden images. Artists like Victor Vasari and Bridget Riley were pioneers of this movement, exploring the interaction between the viewer's eye and the artwork. What is the meaning of the root, lut, in words such as lithograph, lithium, and Paleolithic? Stone. The Greek root, lut, means stone. This root is prevalent in scientific and historical terminology, for example, in lithography, a printing method using a stone or metal plate, lithium, named after its discovery in a stone-like mineral, and Paleolithic, referring to the Old Stone Age. Which song served as the official anthem of the German Nazi Party? The Horst Wessel song, Horst Wessel Lied. The Horst Wessel song was the anthem of the Nazi Party from 1930 to 1945. Named after a Nazi martyr, it was sung in conjunction with the national anthem during the Third Reich and became a powerful symbol of Nazi ideology and propaganda. Which vessel, a sister ship to the Olympic, completed the trio of Olympic-class ocean liners for the White Star Line? Britannic. The Olympic-class ocean liners, built for the White Star Line, consisted of 3 ships, RMS Olympic, RMS Titanic, and HMHS Britannic. The Britannic, originally a luxury liner, was converted into a hospital ship during World War I and sank in 1916. From which major port did the RMS Titanic's maiden voyage passengers embark? Southampton. Southampton, a major port city on England's south coast, served as the departure point for the RMS Titanic's ill-fated maiden voyage on April 10, 1912. Many of its crew members and a significant number of passengers hailed from the city. Which ship was the first to arrive at the site of the RMS Titanic disaster and rescue survivors? The Carpathia. The RMS Carpathia was a Cunard Line transatlantic passenger steamship that bravely diverted its course upon receiving the Titanic's distress call. Arriving at the disaster scene approximately 4 hours after the sinking, it rescued the 705 survivors from the lifeboats. What is a distinguishing characteristic of monotremes, a unique order of mammals? They lay eggs. Monotremes are a unique order of mammals, including the platypus and echidna, distinguished by their reproductive method. They lay eggs instead of giving birth to live young. Despite this reptilian trait, they are true mammals, possessing mammary glands to feed their young. In Greek mythology, which hero is famously credited with slaying the Chimera, a monstrous fire-breathing hybrid creature? Bellerophon. Bellerophon, a hero of Greek mythology, is renowned for his triumph over the Chimera, a formidable beast with the head of a lion, a goat's body, and a serpent's tail. Riding the winged horse Pegasus, Bellerophon managed to defeat the monster by forcing a lead-tipped spear into its fiery mouth, melting the lead and suffocating the creature. In Greek mythology, what was the collective name for the 3 formidable goddesses Alecto, Megara, and Tisiphone? The Furies, also known as the Erinyes or Derae. Alecto, Megara, and Tisiphone are known collectively as the Furies, Erinyes in Greek mythology, or Derae in Roman mythology. These chthonic deities were personifications of vengeance, particularly against those who committed patricide, matricide, or violated sacred oaths. They were often depicted as terrifying winged women with snakes for hair. In Greek mythology, what collective name was given to the powerful primordial deities who were the children of Uranus, heaven, and Gaia, earth? Titans. The Titans were a race of powerful primordial deities in Greek mythology, the first generation of divine rulers, born from the union of Uranus, the sky, and Gaia, the earth. Led by Cronus, they famously overthrew their father, only to be later deposed themselves by the Olympians in a war known as the Titanomachy. What is the common name of the carambola? Star fruit. Carambola, commonly known as star fruit, is a tropical fruit identifiable by its distinctive ridges, which gave it a star shape when sliced. It is rich in vitamin C and often consumed fresh or used in various culinary preparations. Which exotic fruit is commonly known as the king of fruits? Durian. The durian fruit is renowned in Southeast Asia as the king of fruits due to its large size, distinctive thorny rind, and strong aroma. While culturally significant, its pungent smell can be polarizing. Which fruit is a hybrid resulting from a cross between a blackberry and a raspberry? Loganberry. The loganberry is a hybrid berry, originating from a cross between a blackberry and a red raspberry. Developed in the late 19th century, it combines characteristics of both parent plants, offering a tart and tangy flavor. Whose philanthropic work was notably documented in the book, Something Beautiful for God? Mother Teresa. Something Beautiful for God is a 1971 book by Malcolm Muggeridge, documenting the life and work of Mother Teresa. It chronicles her dedication to serving the poorest of the poor in Kolkata, highlighting her profound humanitarian efforts and spiritual commitment. Following World War II, what did the acronym DP commonly refer to? Displaced person. After World War II, millions of people were left homeless or unable to return to their homes due to border changes, destruction, or political reasons. These individuals were referred to as displaced persons, DPs, and their resettlement became a significant humanitarian challenge for international organizations. Which pioneering digital currency was launched in 2009? Bitcoin. Bitcoin, created by an anonymous entity known as Satoshi Nakamoto, was introduced in 2009 as the first decentralized digital currency. Its debut marked a significant milestone in the development of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, influencing subsequent innovations in the financial sector. Snape Maltings Hall is home to which annual festival, first held in 1948? Aldeburgh Festival. The Aldeburgh Festival is a classical music festival held annually in Aldeburgh, Suffolk, England. It was founded in 1948 by Benjamin Britten, Peter Pears, and Eric Crozier, and is known for its opera, classical music, and new commissions. Snape Maltings Concert Hall is its primary venue. Carl Elsener invented which multi-tool in 1894? Swiss Army knife. Carl Elsener, a Swiss cutler, invented the Swiss Army knife in 1894. Originally designed for the Swiss Army, it is a multi-purpose tool known for its compact design and various fold-out implements. Victorinox, the company he founded, continues to be a primary manufacturer. Which peak is the second highest in Britain? Ben Macdui. Ben Macdui is the second highest mountain in Scotland and the entire United Kingdom, standing at 1,309 meters, 4,295 feet. It is located in the Cairngorms National Park, after Ben Nevis, which is the highest. Which is England's southernmost national park? Dartmoor. Dartmoor National Park, located in Devon, is the southernmost of England's 10 national parks. Established in 1951, it is known for its vast moorland, granite tors, and rich prehistoric remains. Which composer attempted suicide by throwing himself into the River Rhine? Schumann. Robert Schumann, a prominent German Romantic composer, famously attempted suicide by throwing himself into the Rhine River in 1854. This event led to his institutionalization in a mental asylum, where he spent the remaining 2 years of his life. Which Baroque composer was known to have 20 children? Johann Sebastian Bach. Johann Sebastian Bach was a prolific German composer and musician of the Baroque period, widely regarded as one of the greatest composers of all time. He had a large family, fathering 20 children, though not all survived to adulthood. Who was the son-in-law of composer Franz Liszt? Richard Wagner. Richard Wagner, a prominent German composer, theatre director, and conductor, was married to Cosima Liszt, the daughter of the equally famous Hungarian composer Franz Liszt. Their relationship was complex and influential in the 19th century music world. What substance is formed when mercury reacts with another metal? Amalgam. An amalgam is an alloy of mercury with one or more other metals. Dental amalgams, typically a mixture of mercury, silver, tin, and copper, have historically been used for fillings due to their durability and ease of use. Which two primary metals form the alloy known as bronze? Copper and tin. Bronze is an alloy primarily made of copper, usually with tin as the main additive. Other modern additives include zinc, manganese, and aluminum, but the traditional and most common form is copper tin, historically significant in the Bronze Age. Zen Buddhism is primarily associated with which country? Japan. Zen is a school of Mahayana Buddhism that originated in China during the Tang dynasty as Chan Buddhism and later spread to Japan, where it became known as Zen. It emphasizes rigorous meditation practice, the attainment of enlightenment, and the personal expression of this insight in daily life. What creatures are scientifically classified under the order Chiroptera? Bats. Chiroptera is the second largest order of mammals, comprising bats, which are the only mammals capable of sustained flight. This order is highly diverse, with over 1,400 species playing crucial roles in various ecosystems, including pollination and insect control. Which island group was historically known as the Somers Islands? Bermuda. The Somers Islands is the historical name for Bermuda, an overseas territory of the United Kingdom in the North Atlantic Ocean. The name originates from Sir George Somers, whose ship, the Sea Venture, was wrecked there in 1609, leading to the permanent settlement of the islands. Lamaism is a form of Buddhism primarily practiced in which region? Tibet. Lamaism is a common, though sometimes debated, term for Tibetan Buddhism, a form of Mahayana Buddhism practiced predominantly in Tibet, Mongolia, and parts of the Himalayas. It is characterized by the central role of lamas, or spiritual teachers, and is led by the Dalai Lama. Aves is the scientific name for which creatures? Birds. Aves is the biological class that includes all bird species. Birds are characterized by features such as feathers, a beaked jaw without teeth, the laying of hard-shelled eggs, a high metabolic rate, a four-chambered heart, and a strong yet lightweight skeleton. Which island group was once called the Spanish East Indies? Philippines. The Philippines was a Spanish colony for over 300 years, from 1565 to 1898, during which it was often referred to as the Spanish East Indies. This period significantly shaped the country's culture, religion, and political history. In 1948, which Vickers aircraft became the first turboprop airliner to enter active service? Vickers Viscount. The Vickers Viscount was a pioneering British turboprop airliner, making its first flight in 1948 and entering commercial service in 1953. It was significant for demonstrating the efficiency and passenger comfort of turboprop engines in commercial aviation, paving the way for future aircraft designs. Which Scottish border village lies at the northernmost end of the Pennine Way? Kirk Yetham. The Pennine Way is a renowned long-distance footpath in England, stretching approximately 268 miles, 431 kilometers. Kirk Yetham, a village in the Scottish borders, marks its traditional northern terminus. Which moorland plateau is the highest point in Derbyshire? Kinder Scout. Kinder Scout is a prominent moorland plateau and national nature reserve located in the Peak District, Derbyshire, England. Standing at 636 meters, 2087 feet, it is the highest point in both Derbyshire and the Peak District, known for its challenging terrain and role in the mass trespass of 1932. In July 2014, Judith Weir became the first woman to be appointed to which post? Master of the Queen's Music. Judith Weir, a distinguished composer, was appointed Master of the Queen's Music in 2014, becoming the first woman to hold this prestigious royal position. The role involves composing music for significant royal and national occasions. Which English chemist published the first scientific study on color blindness? John Dalton. John Dalton, the renowned English chemist, published the first scientific study on color blindness in 1794, based on his own condition. This condition is sometimes referred to as Daltonism in his honor. Which defect of the eye is known as strabismus or heterotropia? Squint, cross eyes. Strabismus, commonly known as squint or cross eyes, is a condition where the eyes do not properly align with each other when looking at an object. This misalignment can cause double vision or reduced depth perception. According to Shakespeare, who was drowned in a butt of Malmsey wine? The Duke of Clarence. According to William Shakespeare's play, Richard III, George Plantagenet, Duke of Clarence, was famously murdered by being drowned in a butt of Malmsey wine. This dramatic death scene is one of the memorable moments in the historical tragedy. What is the capital of the Canadian province of New Brunswick? Fredericton. Fredericton is the capital city of the Canadian province of New Brunswick. Situated on the St. John River, it serves as the province's cultural, artistic, and educational center. Who was the President of the USA at the start of the 20th century? William McKinley. William McKinley was the President of the USA at the very beginning of the 20th century, having been inaugurated in 1897. He was assassinated in September 1901, and Theodore Roosevelt succeeded him. Who wrote the 1958 novella Breakfast at Tiffany's? Truman Capote. Breakfast at Tiffany's is a renowned 1958 novella by American author Truman Capote, depicting the eccentric life of Holly Golightly. It explores themes of loneliness and the pursuit of freedom in New York City. The novella was famously adapted into a classic film starring Audrey Hepburn. Who wrote the 1957 poem Not Waving but Drowning? Stevie Smith. Not Waving but Drowning is a poignant poem by English poet Stevie Smith, published in 1957. It explores themes of miscommunication, isolation, and unexpressed suffering through the metaphor of a drowning man whose gestures are mistaken for waving. The poem is a celebrated piece of 20th century English literature. Which BP drilling rig sank in April 2010, leading to a major oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico? Deepwater Horizon. The Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded and sank in April 2010, causing the largest marine oil spill in history. This catastrophic event resulted in severe environmental damage to the Gulf of Mexico, impacting marine life, coastal ecosystems, and the region's economy. What is the minimum maturation period required for a spirit to be legally designated as Scotch whisky? 3 years. According to UK law, Scotch whisky must be matured in oak casks in Scotland for a minimum period of 3 years. This aging process is crucial for developing the complex flavors and aromas characteristic of Scotch whisky. The holder of which post is also the Minister for the Civil Service? Prime Minister. The Prime Minister in many parliamentary systems, including the UK, typically holds the portfolio of Minister for the Civil Service. This ensures direct oversight and strategic direction for the public administration, highlighting the critical role of an efficient and effective civil service in governance. What type of soup is a consommé or broth garnished with long thin strips of vegetables? Julienne. Julienne refers to a specific culinary cutting technique where food items, typically vegetables, are cut into long, thin strips, resembling matchsticks. In the context of soups, it describes a consommé or broth where these finely cut vegetables serve as a garnish, adding texture and visual appeal. What is the name of the river on which Bakewell stands? Why? Bakewell is a market town in the Derbyshire Dales district of Derbyshire, England, famous for its Bakewell tart. It is situated on the River Wye, a major river in the UK, known for its scenic beauty and diverse wildlife. Harrison Schmitt was the most recent person to do what? Walk on the moon. Harrison Schmitt, an American geologist and NASA astronaut, was the only scientist among the Apollo astronauts to walk on the moon. He achieved this during the Apollo 17 mission in December 1972, making him the most recent person to have walked on the lunar surface. Why does cartilage grow and repair more slowly than other tissues? It does not contain blood vessels. Cartilage is an avascular tissue, meaning it lacks a direct blood supply. This absence of blood vessels limits the delivery of nutrients, oxygen, and immune cells, which are crucial for cellular growth and repair. Consequently, its healing process is significantly slower compared to tissues with a rich blood supply. Planktology, malacology, and primatology are all branches of which science? Zoology. Planktology is the study of plankton, malacology focuses on mollusks, and primatology is dedicated to primates. These are all specialized fields within zoology, which is the scientific study of animals, encompassing their classification, physiology, development, and behavior. One meaning of contubernal is living in the same, what? Tent. The term, contubernal, originates from the Latin, contubernalus, which literally refers to someone who shares the same tent. Historically, it was often used in a military context to denote comrades or tent mates. This term highlights the historical and etymological roots of formal vocabulary. Who became the first Earl of Chatham in 1766? William Pitt the Elder. William Pitt the Elder was a highly influential British statesman who served as Prime Minister during the pivotal 7 Years' War, guiding Britain to significant military victories. His elevation to the peerage as the first Earl of Chatham in 1766 was a recognition of his profound impact on British politics and imperial growth. In 1990, Barbara Castle became Baroness Castle of where? Blackburn. Barbara Castle was a prominent Labour politician in the UK, serving as a Member of Parliament for Blackburn for many years. Her elevation to a life peerage as Baroness Castle of Blackburn in 1990 recognised her distinguished service and significant contributions to British politics. In which village in northeastern France was Joan of Arc born? Domremy. Joan of Arc, a national heroine of France and a Catholic saint, was born in Domremy, a village now known as Domremy-le-Pachel, in northeastern France. Her birthplace is historically significant as the starting point of her pivotal role in the 100 Years' War. Born in 1898, which important figure did Emmy Clifton James closely resemble? Field Marshal Montgomery. Emmy Clifton James, a British actor, was known for his striking resemblance to Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery during World War II. This resemblance was strategically exploited by British intelligence in a deception operation known as Operation Copperhead, aimed at misleading the Germans about Allied invasion plans. Who was the first British monarch to live in Buckingham Palace? Queen Victoria. While Buckingham House was acquired by George III and transformed by George IV, it was Queen Victoria who officially made Buckingham Palace the principal royal residence. She moved into the palace in 1837 shortly after her accession, establishing its enduring status as the administrative headquarters of the monarch. Which bone in the human body is broken most often? Clavicle, collarbone. The clavicle, commonly known as the collarbone, is one of the most frequently fractured bones in the human body. Its position and slender structure make it particularly vulnerable to breaks, often resulting from falls onto the shoulder or outstretched arm. What French phrase is effectively the opposite of à la carte when dining out? Table d'hôte. À la carte refers to ordering individual dishes from a menu, allowing for customization. In contrast, table d'hôte signifies a set menu with a fixed price, typically offering limited choices for each course, providing a complete meal. For which name did the B stand in the name of former US President L.B. Johnson? Baines. Lyndon Baines Johnson served as the 36th President of the United States from 1963 to 1969. He is widely recognized for his domestic policies, known as the Great Society, and for signing landmark civil rights legislation. What sort of creature might be called a chanticleer? Cockerel, rooster. A chanticleer is a traditional name for a rooster, often used in fables and literature to portray a proud or loud crowing male chicken. The most famous literary reference is from Geoffrey Chaucer's The Nun's Priest's Tale. Which king was killed by Neoptolemus at the fall of Troy? Priam. King Priam was the legendary monarch of Troy during the Trojan War, as depicted in Homer's Iliad. According to ancient Greek mythology, he was slain by Neoptolemus, the son of Achilles, during the final sacking of the city. Which Roman goddess, beginning with C, was the equivalent of the Greek goddess Demeter? Ceres. In Roman mythology, Ceres was the goddess of agriculture, grain crops, fertility, and motherly love. She was directly identified with the Greek goddess Demeter, who presided over similar domains and was crucial to agricultural well-being. Who had sisters named Stheno and Euryale? Medusa. Medusa was one of the three Gorgons in Greek mythology, described as monstrous winged sisters with venomous snakes for hair. Unlike her immortal sisters, Stheno and Euryale, Medusa was mortal and famously slain by Perseus. Born in Newquay in 1911, who is the author of The Spire and Pincher Martin? William Golding. William Golding was a renowned British novelist and poet, best known for his allegorical novel, Lord of the Flies. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1983, recognizing his significant contributions to modern literature. For at least how many years must all Scotch whisky be aged in oak barrels? 3. Scotch whisky is strictly regulated by law, requiring it to be aged in oak casks in Scotland for a minimum period of 3 years. This aging process is fundamental to the development of its distinctive aroma, flavor, and character. Which of Shakespeare's plays features a herald named Mountjoy? Henry V. William Shakespeare's historical play Henry V features Mountjoy, a French herald. The play dramatizes events surrounding the Hundred Years' War, particularly the Battle of Agincourt, and is a significant work in English literature, often studied for its historical context and dramatic portrayal of leadership. What is the name of the only lake in the Lake District? Bassenthwaite Lake. Bassenthwaite Lake is the only body of water in England's Lake District National Park officially designated as a lake by name. All other major bodies of water in the region are referred to as meres or waters, such as Windermere or Coniston Water, making this a specific geographical trivia point. Just before World War I, which South Wales town was the largest coal exporting port in the world? Barry. Barry, a town in South Wales, achieved global prominence just before World War I as the world's largest coal exporting port. Its strategic location and extensive dock facilities facilitated the immense coal trade, powering industrial expansion worldwide and contributing significantly to the British economy. What is the alternative name for Puck, a character in Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream? Robin Goodfellow. Puck, a mischievous sprite from William Shakespeare's comedy A Midsummer Night's Dream *, is also widely known by the name Robin Goodfellow. He serves Oberon, the king of the fairies, and is central to many of the play's magical mishaps and humorous confusions. To which minor character does Hamlet refer as a waterfly? Osric. In William Shakespeare's tragedy Hamlet *, the protagonist Hamlet disdainfully refers to the foppish courtier Osric as a waterfly. This epithet highlights Osric's superficiality, flattery, and inconsequential nature within the Danish court, serving to underscore Hamlet's cynicism. Diogenes is the name of the dog in which Charles Dickens' novel? Dombey and Son. Diogenes is the name of Florence Dombey's faithful dog in Charles Dickens' 1848 novel, Dombey and Son. The dog often serves as a symbol of loyalty and comfort in Florence's often bleak and lonely childhood, reflecting Dickens' use of animal characters to emphasize human conditions. In 1936, who composed Carmina Burana, the first part of a trilogy? Karl Orff. Carmina Burana is a dramatic cantata composed by German composer Karl Orff in 1936, forming the first part of his larger trilogy *Triumphi. It is most famous for its powerful opening and closing movement, O Fortuna, which has been widely used in popular culture and film. Which opera, first performed in 1874, is set largely in a cigarette factory? Carmen. Georges Bizet's opera, Carmen, first performed in 1874, is one of the most popular and frequently performed operas in the classical canon. Its setting in a cigarette factory in Seville, Spain, provides a vivid backdrop for its dramatic narrative. Who painted Luncheon of the Boating Party, 1880-1? Pierre-Auguste Renoir. Pierre-Auguste Renoir, a leading figure in the Impressionist movement, created Luncheon of the Boating Party between 1880 and 1881. This iconic painting captures a moment of leisure and camaraderie among his friends at the Maison Fourné's restaurant in Chateau, France. What is the chemical formula for the substance commonly known as laughing gas? N2O. Nitrous oxide, N2O, is commonly known as laughing gas due to its euphoric effects when inhaled. It is widely used in medicine as an anesthetic and analgesic, particularly in dentistry. A simple quadrilateral whose sides are all of the same length is known as a what? Rhombus. A rhombus is a quadrilateral where all four sides are of equal length. While all rhombuses have equal sides, their angles do not necessarily have to be 90 degrees. A square is a special type of rhombus where all angles are right angles. Charles Darwin was born on February 12, 1809. Which US president was also born on that day? Abraham Lincoln. February 12, 1809, is notable for being the shared birth date of two highly influential historical figures, Charles Darwin, the English naturalist who developed the theory of evolution by natural selection, and Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, who led the nation through the Civil War. Which alloy, a form of brass, resembles gold in appearance? Pinchbeck. Pinchbeck is a type of brass, an alloy of copper and zinc, specifically developed in the 18th century by Christopher Pinchbeck to imitate gold. It was commonly used for costume jewelry and watch cases due to its golden luster and affordability. Away, You Rolling River, is one of the refrains in which traditional folk song? Shenandoah. Shenandoah is a classic American folk song and sea shanty of uncertain origin, believed to have developed in the early 19th century. Its lyrics often refer to the Shenandoah River and a longing for a distant home or loved one, making it a poignant symbol of American folklore. Who composed the Oscar-winning song, Moon River? Henry Mancini. Moon River is a timeless song composed by Henry Mancini with lyrics by Johnny Mercer, famously performed by Audrey Hepburn in the 1961 film, Breakfast at Tiffany's. It won an Academy Award for Best Original Song and has since become a beloved classic, symbolizing romance and wanderlust. Houdan and Light Sussex are types of which farmyard creature? Chicken. Houdan and Light Sussex are well-known breeds of domestic chickens, primarily raised for meat and eggs. These breeds are recognized for their distinct physical characteristics and utility in poultry farming. Khaki Campbell and Rouen are types of which farmyard creature? Duck. Khaki Campbell and Rouen are popular breeds of domestic ducks. Khaki Campbells are renowned for their prolific egg-laying, while Rouens are primarily valued for their meat production and striking plumage. The Great Schism was a split within the Catholic Church in what century? 14th. The Great Schism refers to the period from 1378 to 1417 when there were two, and later three, rival popes, each claiming legitimacy. This event significantly weakened the papacy's authority and caused profound division within Western Christianity. Which gas, indicating the presence of possible life forms, has been discovered on Mars? Methane. The detection of methane on Mars is significant because, on Earth, methane is primarily produced by biological processes or geological activity. Its presence suggests either extant microbial life beneath the surface or ongoing geochemical processes that could indicate potential habitability. Francis II, 1792 to 1835, was the last person to hold which 1,000-year-old title? Holy Roman Emperor. Francis II was the last Holy Roman Emperor, a title he held until 1806 when the Holy Roman Empire was dissolved due to the Napoleonic Wars. He subsequently became Emperor Francis I of Austria, establishing the Austrian Empire. Which creature was used as a symbol of Christianity in the early days of persecution? Fish. The fish, ichthyes, served as a secret symbol for early Christians during Roman persecution. The Greek word for fish, ichthyes, is an acrostic for Isos Christos Theoios Soter, meaning Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior. Abolished in 1966 by the Catholic Church, what was the Index Librorum Prohibitorum? List of banned books. The Index Librorum Prohibitorum, list of prohibited books, commonly known as the Index, was a list of publications deemed heretical or immoral by the Sacred Congregation of the Index. It was officially abolished by the Catholic Church in 1966. Why was Doc Holliday advised to move to the warmer climate of the West? He suffered from tuberculosis, TB. Tuberculosis, TB, is an infectious disease caused by the bacterium Mycobacterium tuberculosis, primarily affecting the lungs. Historically, before the advent of effective antibiotics, moving to warmer, drier climates was a common, though often ineffective, treatment recommendation for pulmonary tuberculosis. Where did Billy Clatton, Frank McLaury, and Tom McLaury die? OK Corral, Tombstone. The gunfight at the OK Corral was a legendary 30-second shootout that occurred on October 26, 1881, in Tombstone, Arizona Territory. This event is one of the most famous gunfights in the history of the American Old West, involving figures like Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, and the Clayton-McClory gang. Chalcopyrite is a major ore of which metal? Copper. Chalcopyrite, Cu-Fes2, is the most important ore of copper, a critical industrial metal. It is a brassy yellow mineral found in various types of mineral deposits worldwide and is a primary source for copper extraction. Nephrite is one of the two forms of which ornamental rock? Jade. Jade is an ornamental rock primarily known for its green varieties, valued for its beauty and toughness. It consists of two distinct mineral forms, nephrite, a calcium and magnesium-rich amphibole, and jadeite, a sodium and aluminium-rich pyroxene. Both are prized for carving and jewelry. What is the scientific name for brown coal? Lignite. Lignite, often referred to as brown coal, is a soft, brown, combustible sedimentary rock formed from naturally compressed peat. It is the lowest rank of coal, characterized by a relatively low heat content and high moisture content, and is primarily used for electricity generation. To which secret society did Gavrilo Princip, Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassin, belong? The Black Hand. Gavrilo Princip, a Serbian nationalist, assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in Sarajevo in June 1914, an event that triggered the start of World War I. He was associated with the Black Hand, a secret military society formed by officers in the Royal Serbian Army, which aimed to unite all territories with a South Slav majority into a Greater Serbia. What was the name of the unsuccessful war plan developed by the Germans in 1905? Schlieffen Plan. The Schlieffen Plan was a strategic war plan developed by the German General Staff in 1905 for a potential invasion of France and Belgium. It aimed for a swift defeat of France by bypassing its fortified border through neutral Belgium, followed by a focus on the Eastern Front against Russia, but ultimately failed to achieve its objectives in World War I. The kakapo is the world's only flightless type of which bird? Parrot. The kakapo is a critically endangered, large, nocturnal, flightless parrot native to New Zealand. It is unique as the world's only flightless parrot, the heaviest parrot, and the only parrot to have a leg breathing system. Which celestial body is sometimes referred to as the horned planet? Venus. Venus, the second planet from the Sun, is known as the horned planet, due to its crescent phases visible through a telescope, similar to the phases of the Moon. This appearance is caused by the changing angles of illumination from the Sun as seen from Earth. What Latin phrase is commonly used to refer to one's former school or university? Alma mater. Alma mater is a Latin phrase meaning nourishing mother. It is used to denote the educational institution one formerly attended, implying that the institution provided intellectual nourishment and guidance. What type of animal is a bleak? Fish. A bleak, Alburnus alburnus, is a small, freshwater fish belonging to the carp family, Cyprinidae. It is commonly found in European rivers and lakes, often used as bait due to its abundance. Which sea did the Romans refer to as Mare Nostrum? The Mediterranean Sea. Mare Nostrum, meaning our sea, in Latin, was the Roman name for the Mediterranean Sea. This term reflected the Roman Empire's dominance over the sea and its surrounding territories, signifying its central role in their vast empire. In which famous opera does the protagonist, Madame Butterfly, have a son named Delore? Madame Butterfly. Madame Butterfly is an opera by Giacomo Puccini, first performed in 1904. The tragic story centers on Seo-Seo-san, Madame Butterfly, a young Japanese geisha who marries an American naval officer and has a son with him, whom she names Dolore, meaning sorrow. Which renowned Czech composer is credited with composing the opera, The Battered Bride? Bedřich Smetana. The Battered Bride, Prodana Nevesta, is a comic opera by Czech composer Bedřich Smetana, first performed in 1866. It is considered a cornerstone of Czech national opera, showcasing traditional Czech music and folklore. Which is the only city situated on the River Wye, which forms part of the England-Wales border? Hereford. Hereford is a historic cathedral city in Herefordshire, England, situated on the River Wye. The River Wye is one of the longest rivers in the UK, forming part of the border between England and Wales for a significant portion of its course. St. Michael's Mount is located 3 miles east of which Cornish town? Penzance. St. Michael's Mount is a tidal island in Mounts Bay, Cornwall, England, connected to the town of Marazion by a granite causeway at low tide. This historic site, featuring a medieval castle and a priory, lies a short distance east of the major Cornish town of Penzance. High Willhays is the highest point of which county? Devon. High Willhays is the highest point in the county of Devon, England, located within the Dartmoor National Park. Standing at 621 meters, 2037 feet above sea level, it is a significant geographical feature and a popular hiking destination in the region. What major historical event was initiated by Pope Urban II's sermon at Claremont in 1095? The First Crusade. Pope Urban II's sermon at the Council of Claremont in 1095 called upon Western Christians to aid the Byzantine Empire against the Seljuk Turks and to reclaim Jerusalem from Muslim rule. This impassioned address effectively launched the First Crusade, a pivotal military campaign of the Middle Ages. Which drama is set in the fictional village of Leragub? Under Milkwood. Under Milkwood is a 1954 radio drama by Welsh poet Dylan Thomas, portraying a day in the life of inhabitants in the fictional fishing village of Leragub. It is a significant work of 20th century literature known for its poetic language and vivid characters. In which atmospheric layer is the ozone layer primarily found? Stratosphere. The ozone layer is a region in the Earth's stratosphere that absorbs most of the sun's ultraviolet, UV, radiation. This protective layer is crucial for life on Earth, shielding living organisms from harmful radiation. Which Mediterranean island is geographically divided by the Green Line, also known as the Attila Line? Cyprus. Cyprus, a Mediterranean island, has been divided since 1974 by the Green Line, also informally called the Attila Line. This buffer zone, maintained by the United Nations, separates the self-declared Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus from the Republic of Cyprus in the south. Which short story narrates the psychological and physical torments endured by a prisoner during the Spanish Inquisition? The Pit and the Pendulum. The Pit and the Pendulum is a macabre short story by Edgar Allan Poe, first published in 1842. It recounts the horrific experiences of a prisoner condemned to death during the Spanish Inquisition, exploring themes of psychological terror and survival. Following whose execution in 1794 was the apparatus of the Terror in France largely dismantled? Maximilien Robespierre. Maximilien Robespierre, a key figure of the French Revolution, was executed in July 1794, marking the end of the Reign of Terror. His demise led to the Thermidorian reaction, which dismantled the radical policies and institutions of the Terror. Which vegetable is the primary ingredient in a traditional Spanish omelette, tortilla española? Potato. The Spanish omelette, or tortilla española, is a classic dish in Spanish cuisine, with potato slices being its defining primary ingredient. It typically combines potatoes, eggs, and sometimes onion, cooked slowly to achieve its distinctive texture. What was the traditional moral code of the samurai warriors of Japan? Bushido. Bushido, meaning the way of the warrior, was the traditional code of conduct and moral principles that guided the samurai warriors of feudal Japan. It emphasized virtues such as loyalty, self-discipline, honor, courage, and martial prowess. Which type of footwear shares its name with a genus of venomous snake? Moccasin. The term moccasin refers to both a type of soft, comfortable shoe, often made from deerskin, and a genus of venomous pit vipers, particularly known for species like the water moccasin, cottonmouth, in North America. This dual meaning makes it a common general knowledge question. What lies roughly along 180 degrees longitude? The International Date Line. The International Date Line is an imaginary line on the Earth's surface, roughly following the 180 degrees longitude, that demarcates the change of one calendar day to the next. It helps in maintaining chronological order across the globe. In 1838, Mexican General Santa Anna held a funeral with full military honors for what? His amputated leg. Antonio López de Santa Anna, a prominent Mexican general and president, had his leg amputated after being wounded in the Pastry War in 1838. He then controversially held a full military funeral for his amputated limb, a peculiar act reflecting his personality and the political climate of the time. The mastodon was an early relative of which modern creature? Elephant. Mastodons were extinct proboscideans, distantly related to modern elephants and mammoths, that roamed Earth from the Miocene to the Pleistocene epochs. They were characterized by their cone-shaped molars, adapted for browsing on leaves and branches. Which castle is known as the Key of England? Dover Castle. Dover Castle, located in Kent, England, is historically significant and often referred to as the Key of England, due to its strategic defensive position overlooking the narrowest part of the English Channel. It has played a crucial role in the defense of the realm for centuries. Which castle is the official residence of the Lord Warden of the Cinque Ports? Walmer Castle. Walmer Castle, also in Kent, England, serves as the official residence of the Lord Warden of the Cinque Ports, a ceremonial office that historically involved the defense of the English coast. It has a rich history, having hosted several notable figures, including the Duke of Wellington. What contribution to the underground did Harry Beck make in 1931? Created the map. Harry Beck revolutionized urban transit maps by creating the iconic diagrammatic map of the London Underground in 1931. His design, which prioritized topological accuracy over geographical precision, made navigation much simpler and became a global standard for subway maps. Crohn's disease affects which part of the body? Intestines. Crohn's disease is a chronic inflammatory bowel disease, IBD, that can affect any part of the gastrointestinal tract, though it most commonly targets the small intestine and the beginning of the large intestine. It causes inflammation, abdominal pain, severe diarrhea, fatigue, and weight loss. What medical term is used for an extreme life-threatening allergic reaction? Anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is a severe, potentially life-threatening allergic reaction that can occur rapidly, within minutes of exposure to an allergen. Symptoms can include skin rash, nausea, vomiting, difficulty breathing, and shock, requiring immediate medical attention. Which physical disability is called medically talipes? Clubfoot. Talipes, commonly known as clubfoot, is a congenital condition where a baby's foot is twisted out of shape or position. This birth defect can affect one or both feet and requires early treatment, often involving casting or surgery, to correct the deformity. Which radioactive isotope is used to date archaeological samples? Carbon-14. Carbon-14 dating is a radiocarbon dating method used to determine the age of organic materials. This technique is crucial in archaeology and paleoanthropology for dating artifacts and ancient remains up to approximately 50,000 years old. What is the medical name for vitamin B2? Riboflavin. Riboflavin is the scientific name for vitamin B2, an essential water-soluble vitamin. It plays a crucial role in various metabolic processes, including energy production and the metabolism of fats, drugs, and steroids, and is vital for maintaining healthy skin and vision. What is a quadrilateral with exactly two parallel sides called? Trapezium. A trapezium, or trapezoid in North America, is a quadrilateral with at least one pair of parallel sides. The parallel sides are called the bases, and the non-parallel sides are called the legs or lateral sides. Who was the Roman equivalent of the Greek goddess Artemis? Dinah. In Roman mythology, Dinah was the goddess of the hunt, the moon, and childbirth, often associated with wild animals and woodlands. She is the Roman counterpart to the Greek goddess Artemis, sharing many attributes and roles. On the Beaufort scale, which number designates a fresh breeze? 5. The Beaufort scale is an empirical measure that relates wind speed to observed conditions at sea or on land. A fresh breeze is classified as Beaufort number 5, corresponding to wind speeds between 17 and 21 knots, 31 to 39 km per hour at 20 to 24 miles per hour, where small trees in leaf begin to sway. Who painted The Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Tulp? Rembrandt. The Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Nicolaes Tulp is a 1632 oil painting by Rembrandt van Rijn, one of the most significant works of the Dutch Golden Age. It depicts Dr. Nicolaes Tulp explaining the musculature of an arm to medical professionals, showcasing Rembrandt's early mastery of dramatic light and composition. On the Beaufort scale, which number designates a high wind? 7. The Beaufort scale classifies wind speeds based on observable effects. A high wind, also known as a moderate gale, corresponds to Beaufort number 7, with wind speeds ranging from 28 to 33 knots, 50 to 61 km per hour or 32 to 38 miles per hour, at which point whole trees are in motion and walking against the wind is difficult. Which famous presidential retreat was formerly known as Shangri-La? Camp David. Camp David is the country retreat of the President of the United States, located in Catoctin Mountain Park, Maryland. It was originally named Shangri-La by President Franklin D. Roosevelt and was later renamed Camp David by President Dwight D. Eisenhower in honor of his grandson. It serves as a secluded venue for high-level meetings and diplomatic efforts. Which is the only city in the county of Cornwall? Truro. Truro is the administrative centre and the only city in the county of Cornwall, England. Its city status was granted in the 19th century, making it a key urban and commercial hub in the region. Who did Marcel Duchamp paint complete with a moustache? The Mona Lisa. Marcel Duchamp, a prominent Dadaist artist, created LHOOQ in 1919 by drawing a moustache and goatee on a cheap postcard reproduction of Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. This provocative act challenged traditional art and established bourgeois tastes, recontextualizing an iconic masterpiece. Who was the apostle chosen to replace Judas Iscariot? Matthias. According to the Acts of the Apostles in the New Testament, Matthias was chosen by lot to replace Judas Iscariot as one of the 12 apostles. This event occurred after Jesus' ascension and before Pentecost. What was the site of Jesus' ascension into heaven 40 days after the resurrection? Mount of Olives. The Mount of Olives, located east of Jerusalem, is a significant site in Christian tradition. It is recorded in the New Testament as the place from which Jesus ascended into heaven 40 days after his resurrection, a pivotal event in Christian theology. Madrid stands on which river? Manzanares. Madrid, the capital city of Spain, is situated on the Manzanares River. This relatively small river originates in the Sierra de Guadarrama mountains and flows through the western part of the city, contributing to the local geography. Which are the two prominent colors on the Spanish flag? Red and yellow. The flag of Spain prominently features two horizontal stripes, red on the top and bottom, with a wider yellow stripe in the middle. The national coat of arms is typically placed on the yellow stripe, shifted towards the hoist. In which capital city is the stadium nicknamed the Bird's Nest? Beijing. The Beijing National Stadium, famously known as the Bird's Nest, is a prominent landmark in Beijing, China. It served as the main stadium for the 2008 Summer Olympics and Paralympics, renowned for its distinctive architectural design. On which US state's flag can the Union Jack be seen? Hawaii. The flag of Hawaii is unique among US state flags for incorporating the Union Jack in its upper left canton. This design reflects Hawaii's historical ties with the United Kingdom, particularly during the late 18th and early 19th centuries before its annexation by the United States. What is the title of the French national anthem? The Marseillaise. The Marseillaise is the national anthem of France, adopted in 1795. Originally a Revolutionary War song, it symbolizes French patriotism and has influenced numerous revolutionary movements globally. Who wrote Not Waving but Drowning? Stevie Smith. Not Waving but Drowning is a celebrated poem by the English poet Stevie Smith, published in 1957. Known for its poignant exploration of isolation and miscommunication, the poem vividly depicts the tragic irony of someone struggling for help while being misunderstood. Which vertical takeoff jet made its first flight in 1966? Harrier. The Harrier jump jet is a series of military jet aircraft capable of vertical, short takeoff and landing, (stall). Developed by Hawker Siddeley in the UK, its first flight was in 1966, marking a significant advancement in aviation technology. Which year was renowned as the Year of Revolutions? 1848. The year 1848 is known as the Year of Revolutions due to a series of liberal and nationalist uprisings across Europe. These revolutions aimed to overthrow monarchical rule and establish more democratic and unified states, significantly impacting the European political landscape. The original Gang of Four was a political group in which country? China. The Gang of Four was a powerful political faction composed of four Communist Party of China officials during the Cultural Revolution, 1966 to 1976. Led by Mao Zedong's wife Jiang, they held significant power and influence, being responsible for many of the excesses of the Cultural Revolution. Which famous building was burned down by British forces in 1812? The White House. During the War of 1812, British forces burned down the White House on August 24, 1814, as retaliation for the American attack on York, now Toronto, in April 1813. This event is a significant part of US-British relations and the War of 1812 history. Trinidad sits only 6.8 miles from the coast of which South American country? Venezuela. The island nation of Trinidad and Tobago is located off the northern edge of the South American mainland. Trinidad is geographically close to Venezuela, separated by the Columbus Channel, highlighting its strategic location in the Caribbean. What is the capital of Barbados? Bridgetown. Bridgetown is the capital and largest city of Barbados, an island nation in the Lesser Antilles of the West Indies. It is a major port and serves as the economic and administrative center of the country. In Scottish courts, 3 verdicts are allowed: guilty, not guilty, and which other? Not proven. In Scottish criminal law, not proven is a unique third verdict alongside guilty and not guilty. It indicates that the prosecution has not presented sufficient evidence to establish guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, but it does not fully exonerate the accused like a not guilty verdict. Henry VIII had 6 wives, but which of his wives had 4 husbands? Catherine Parr. Catherine Parr was the 6th and final wife of King Henry VIII of England. She had been widowed twice before marrying Henry VIII and subsequently married Thomas Seymour after Henry's death, making him her 4th husband. Hatha, Janana, and Karma are all forms of which activity? Yoga. Hatha Yoga, Janana Yoga, and Karma Yoga are distinct paths or forms within the broader philosophical and spiritual practice of yoga, originating from ancient India. Hatha Yoga focuses on physical postures, Janana Yoga on wisdom, and Karma Yoga on selfless action. What is the capital of Latvia? Riga. Riga is the capital and largest city of Latvia, a country situated in the Baltic region of Northern Europe. It serves as Latvia's primary cultural, economic, and political hub, renowned globally for its rich collection of Art Nouveau architecture. In which way did the crucifixion of Saint Peter differ from that of Jesus? He was crucified upside down. Saint Peter, a prominent apostle, is traditionally believed to have requested crucifixion upside down, feeling unworthy to die in the same manner as Jesus Christ. This event is a significant part of Christian tradition and iconography, symbolizing his humility and devotion. Which carnivore's liver contains such high levels of vitamin A that it would be fatal if consumed by humans? Polar bear. Polar bear livers contain dangerously high concentrations of vitamin A, retinol, far exceeding safe limits for human consumption. Ingesting even a small amount can lead to hypervitaminosis A, a severe condition causing liver damage, hemorrhage, and potentially death. What is the only New Testament gospel that is not synoptic? John. The Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke are collectively known as the Synoptic Gospels due to their significant similarities in content, structure, and narrative. The Gospel of John, however, presents a distinct theological perspective, unique events, and a different chronological sequence, setting it apart from the Synoptics. To which of the tribes of Israel did Samson belong? Dan. Samson, a legendary biblical figure renowned for his immense strength, was a member of the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan was one of the 12 tribes of Israel, descended from Jacob's son Dan, and played a role in the early history of the Israelites. Jana Gana Mana is the national anthem of which country? India. Jana Gana Mana is the national anthem of India, originally composed in Bengali by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore. It was officially adopted by the Constituent Assembly of India on January 24, 1950, and serves as a significant symbol of national identity. What is a pangrama sentence containing? All the letters of the alphabet. A pangram is a sentence that uses every letter of the alphabet at least once. A classic example is, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, often used to demonstrate typefaces or test typewriters. What is the name of France's national personification, equivalent to Britannia? Marianne. Marianne is the national personification of the French Republic, symbolizing liberty and reason. She is an important emblem found in French government institutions and represents the values of the Republic. The Folketing is the parliament of which country? Denmark. The Folketing is the unicameral national parliament of Denmark, serving as the supreme legislative body. It is responsible for enacting laws, approving the national budget, and overseeing the government's activities. What is the common name for the Earth's lithosphere? Crust. The lithosphere is the rigid, outermost shell of the Earth, encompassing the crust and the uppermost part of the mantle. While often colloquially referred to as the crust, technically the crust is only the top layer of the lithosphere. Which solid geometric shape possesses the largest volume for a given surface area? Sphere. Among all three-dimensional geometric solids, the sphere is uniquely characterized by having the greatest volume for a specified surface area. This principle of optimal compactness is evident in various natural phenomena and has significant applications in fields like engineering and biology, such as the design of containers or the shape of raindrops. Which type of rock is formed through the transformation of existing rocks by heat or pressure? Metamorphic. Metamorphic rocks are formed when pre-existing rocks, igneous, sedimentary, or even other metamorphic rocks, are subjected to intense heat, pressure, or chemically active fluids deep within the Earth's crust. This process, known as metamorphism, changes the rock's mineralogy, texture, and chemical composition without melting it entirely. Who currently holds the position of Shadow Home Secretary? Yvette Cooper. The Shadow Home Secretary is a senior member of the official opposition's shadow cabinet in the United Kingdom. This individual is responsible for scrutinizing the policies and actions of the government's Home Secretary and formulating alternative policy proposals on matters related to domestic affairs, security, and immigration. Who currently serves as the government chief whip? Michael Gove. The government chief whip is a crucial figure in the British parliamentary system, tasked with maintaining party discipline among members of parliament, ensuring attendance for votes, and guiding legislative strategy. This role is essential for the smooth functioning of the government's legislative agenda in the House of Commons. To which influential school of art did prominent artists like Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko belong? Abstract Expressionism. Abstract Expressionism was a significant post-World War II art movement that emerged in the United States, characterized by large-scale, non-representational paintings designed to express profound emotion. Artists like Jackson Pollock, known for his drip painting technique, and Mark Rothko, famous for his color-filled canvases, were central figures in this groundbreaking movement. To which school of art did Matisse and Lamink belong? Fauvism. Fauvism was an early 20th century art movement known for its vibrant, non-naturalistic colors and bold brushwork. Henri Matisse and Maurice de Lamink were leading figures of this movement, which profoundly influenced modern art. Which mineral has varieties that include emerald and aquamarine? Beryl. Beryl is a silicate mineral composed of beryllium aluminium cyclosilicate. Its most well-known varieties are precious gemstones like emerald, which is green due to trace amounts of chromium and/or vanadium, and aquamarine, which is blue-green due to iron impurities. James Joyce's Ulysses ends with an extended monologue by which character? Molly Bloom. James Joyce's Ulysses, a landmark modernist novel, concludes with Molly Bloom's soliloquy. This unpunctuated stream of consciousness passage is celebrated for its frankness, exploration of female consciousness, and its iconic closing word, yes. Which king ordered the killing of all Danes in the St. Brice's Day massacre of 1002? Ethelred II or the Unready. Ethelred II, often known as the Unready, ordered the St. Brice's Day massacre on November 13, 1002. This event saw the widespread killing of Danes in England, a desperate and ultimately counterproductive attempt to curb Viking incursions, leading to further Danish invasions. Which instrument is Alison Balsam, a classical musician, a virtuoso player of trumpet? Alison Balsam is a renowned British trumpet virtuoso, celebrated for her contributions to classical music and for elevating the trumpet as a solo instrument. Who is the lead female protagonist in Benjamin Britten's opera Gloriana? Queen Elizabeth I. Benjamin Britten's opera, Gloriana, was commissioned for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II in 1953. The opera focuses on the life and reign of Queen Elizabeth I, featuring her as the central character. Which Czech author wrote the works The Trial and the Castle? Franz Kafka. Franz Kafka was an influential German-speaking Bohemian novelist and short story writer. The Trial and the Castle are among his most significant works, exemplifying his exploration of themes like alienation, guilt, and bureaucratic power. Who composed the tone poem The Swan of Tuonela? Jean Sibelius. Jean Sibelius was a prominent Finnish composer from the late Romantic and early modern periods. The Swan of Tuonela, a part of his Lemminkainen suite, is renowned for its evocative and melancholic musical portrayal. Which scientific law is expressed by the formula V equals IR? Ohm's law. Ohm's law describes the relationship between voltage, current, and resistance in an electrical circuit. It states that the current through a conductor between 2 points is directly proportional to the voltage across the 2 points. From which state did 4 of the first 5 presidents of the USA originate? Virginia. Virginia is historically known as the mother of presidents. 4 of the first 5 U.S. presidents, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and James Monroe, were born in Virginia, highlighting its early political influence. What is the next compound in the sequence? Butane, propane, ethane. Methane. This sequence lists the first 4 straight-chain alkanes in decreasing order of their carbon atoms. Methane, CH4, is the simplest alkane, followed by ethane, C2H6, propane, C3H8, and butane, C4H10.